If you're afraid of something, you got to understand it. Like, I know initially with like recession, I clam up, I get a little fearful, but then I'm like, if I understand what's actually happening, I'm not afraid of it. And I get to learn to work with it. More access to credit, more buying power. You have not become any more productive, but your buying power's increased. That's how people get caught in the euphoria. Is it easier to have your fifth drink or your first drink? It's easier to have your fifth drink because you're already having fun. So we already lived all this. We already lived the boom. The reason I don't really drink much anymore is because I don't like the hangover. Society, though, that doesn't necessarily agree with that. Now, Dalio claims there's such a thing as a beautiful deleveraging.
Deleveragings have happened throughout history. You can go back thousands of years, hundreds of years. They always have happened because there's a certain nature to a debt cycle.
You can cut spending, you can reduce debt, and you can redistribute wealth to deflate the currency as you inflate it. That seems like very utopian to me, but he's a smart guy, smarter than me. So he believes intelligent central planners and central bankers can do what's called a beautiful deleveraging, where they cut spending, they reduce the debt, and they redistribute wealth as they continue to inflate the currency just to grease the skids of the wheel. But this is happening. They are just straight up putting money into the economy. So that's generally you get the interest rates to zero. Hopefully it stimulates the economy. But then these are the other options, which are already lived through. When you're young and you buy your first house, you're not as productive as you're going to be when you're 40. Everybody agree with that? So you have to use leverage. You have to borrow. Generally, when you're younger, you can borrow more because you have longer to become more productive. But as you delever, if you're not having your tenants pay back your debts, you have to spend less. Your tenants are paying your debt off for you. But so anytime, simple concept, anytime you take on debt, there's going to be deleveraging. In the future, you'll have to spend less. You're spending less of a percentage than you could. So now your buying power is shrinking because your income's down and your access to credit's down. And now in a downturn and a recession, just know this is happening across society. And then less buying power means asset values drop, which means less access to credit because you can no longer get HELOCs. You can no longer do that. So it's just remember, everything feels great in that positive feedback loop. It's just a negative feedback loop. And then when one person's buying power lowers, what's that do to somebody else's income? Drops. And then the bust hit. And then the government can no longer take on borrowing, no one will lend to them, essentially. And this is when governments collapse and fall, or we have to go off the gold standard, or we have to change the rules of the game. Quite frankly, I think we get away with this because we're outproducing. The microchip is doubling in size every 18 months. There is no doubt that humans are becoming more productive, more abundant. And so that's why I'm constantly an optimist. These cycles are going to be happening, and we'll produce our way out of that. Money actually means cash, which is just a medium of exchange, just something that you can trade with. Credit is your access to borrowing where you use somebody else's cash. Make sense? Feels like the same thing, but it's not the same thing. And then how do we define wealth? So it's your ability to trade for the real assets that you want or need. And then generally, you need money as a medium of exchange, so we're not in a barter economy. So we're not trading houses for goats or houses for cows. Make sense? The whole point of money is just a medium of exchange. This was a mind-blowing event for me. So your buying power does not equal your wealth. And then you cannot increase your wealth by more buying power. When we all had 0% interest rates and we're getting PPP loans, who felt wealthier? Unfortunately, we weren't wealthier. We were just able to have more fun. We had more buying power. So remember, your wealth is not your buying power. And because of economic cycles, this is what I think happens psychologically to people. Because of economic cycles, we can all accept buying power is going to go down or up, regardless of productivity, right? It'll be amplified. If you're more productive, you'll probably get more buying power. But it doesn't necessarily mean you're getting wealthier, even though it feels like it. I have bad news for everybody. In the last 12 months, everybody's buying power has dropped. Is everybody sad? I'm sad. I feel bad. I feel like a loser. Like, who cares? But does it even matter? Have we all became less wealthier? We're all in hard assets. I argue we're becoming wealthier, and we're going to become wealthier this weekend. We all learned this in 2008. Just because the value of your house went down, it still did everything your house needed to do. It gave you shelter. You could cook your meals there. You could do your bodily activities there. But on paper, it went down. But were you any less wealthier unless you got defaulted on? No. You get wealthier if you learn to leverage the made and imagined. That helps you become more productive. That's one way to get wealthier. How else can you get wealthier? Anybody. Become more productive and buy more assets with that productivity because you got to store that wealth somewhere. So essentially, the way Dalio explains it, you got a financial economy and you got a real economy. The real economy is commodities, gold, silver, houses, oil, corn, food you eat,
things and stuff.
Hard asset, things and stuff. Financial economy is made and imagined. It's bonds, it's stocks, it's paper. And this is not a bad thing. Thank God. The reason the Western world is so wealthy, anybody ever heard of this book, The Mystery of Capital? Here's the secret. This is the greatest book. If you're going to read a book after this, read this. The reason the Western world is so wealthy is because I can put time and effort into a house, and then I can represent that house with a deed of trust and title, and someone will buy that paper for me. How many here have owned houses they've never seen? Why did you do that? Maybe that's not the right question. Why could you do that? Because you trusted the title. So it goes back to English common law. It goes back to the whole tradition the Western world's built on. I don't want you guys to be like, I hate the financial economy. Let's all go back to barter. Like, that would be catastrophic. This is awesome. We just lived through the inflationary period. What happened? The real economy was the real economy, and the financial economy blew up because the central bank was ejecting a bunch of paper, blowing up financial economy. Everybody agree with that? In the downturn, what's going to happen to the financial economy? It's going to contract. Anybody emotional about that anymore? It's just sun goes up, sun goes down, whatever. It's going to happen over here. Nothing. Potentially, it'll increase in value because it's more desirable now.
Hey, thanks for watching the video. If you make over $300K per year, I think my program could be great for you. If you're interested in investing in real estate in a completely passive manner and want someone to find the house, to fix the house, to find a tenant, or help you sell it, click the link below to book a call.